Alright guys, let's do this. So in this live stream, I'm going to be going through data breaches and see how hackers got into computer systems. The most obvious ones are usually phishing campaigns. So whether a person figures out how to send you I think the word is called obfuscated. So that's just a fancy word of saying that we're gonna hide the payload in a different way. So if I don't know if you guys know, but antivirus programs, how they work is that they scan a program and then they'll get the checksum hash of that program. So every program has a checksum number. And what it'll do is it'll run that number in it with the database, and if the number matches, it'll flag it. It'll either stop the program, delete the program, and or quarantine the program, right? So that's essentially how antivirus programs work. So again, the big word obfuscated. I don't know if I even said that right. Let me see. Obfuscated payload. So as you can see here, right? Payload obfuscation. How to mask malicious script. Let's click on it. The art of payload obfuscation. How to mask malicious scripts and bypass defense mechanisms. How often have your exploits been blocked by firewalls or neutered by mysterious processes that alter key characteristics? This is why payload obfuscation is such a I have a trouble pronouncing this word. It's such a game-changing skill for offensive security testing. By disguising malicious code as harmless data, you can bypass security defenses and reach your target. This guide will walk you through everything from the basis of URL encoding and octal encoding to advanced obfuscation methods such as variable expression assignment and obfuscation in shell environments, giving you the tools to outsmart even the toughest security defenses. These skills are invaluable for bug bounty programs, which often simulate real-world hacking conditions by ensuring hunters must overcome defenses like web application firewalls, WAFs, input sanitation, and rate limiting. Mastering these techniques, hold on, this is probably important. These skills are invaluable for bug bounty programs, which simulate real-world hacking conditions by ensuring hunters must overcome defenses like web application firewalls, input sanitation, and rate limiting. I gotta Google what rate limiting is, because I definitely know what input sanitation is, right? So some programs, what they do is instead of a payload. So let's do it like this again. So let's do this. Payload. Let's click on images. You know what? Let's use XSS. In XSS. So a good one would be. So this would be a normal XSS attack, right? So you put script and then the ending with the backwards thingy, so script, and then you will put in the middle like an alert, right? On a parameter. So a parameter would be right here. So you see where it says a Q with the equal sign. So you would put that here, right? And if it's vulnerable, it'll process the JavaScript code. But if you want to obfuscate it, as funny as that sounds, the code will look more like this. Let me see if I find an example for you guys real quick. Let me see. Let me try this. Encoded. Payload and XSS. So this is a good example here. So this is still valid Java code. So obviously it looks more different, but it's still valid. Like the characters matter, and then the alert document.domain. So this could be an XSS, right? Attack. Let me see if I can find another one. This is a regular one. It's not encoded or changed where it would so something like this is a perfect example actually. So you see this here, these characters. So a lot of this, so this is the encoded version of it. This is the original how you would see it, like just like regular people understand and look at it. But you can actually run it like this. So these characters also mean a lot of these characters as well. So this could mean either A, or this could mean either C, or this, and that. So this here means this here. This here means this here. This here means this here. So there's different ways of obfuscation. So you can hide your payloads, if that makes sense. So this would be a regular one here. This would be a regular JavaScript payload here. Again, script, and then you put the alert. Or actually, this is a little bit encoded or obfuscated. You see that there. So let's see if we find more examples of it. This would be a regular one, I'd say. As you can see that there. It's not encoded. So you get my point, right, guys? So that's what obfuscation means. So let's see here. What is a payload? What is payload obfuscation? Payload obfuscation in the wild. Log4Shell obfuscation. Payload obfuscation. All right, I'm gonna stop reading all this stuff. So, what is payload? That word, payload. That word can make malicious exploits undetectable to an application's protection mechanisms, but without changing the payload's functionality when executed. Pen testers, bug bounty hunters, and security researchers can therefore exploit vulnerable components that might otherwise have remained protected by web application firewalls or input validation filters. By that word, malicious scripts using encoded variable manipulation or unconventional syntax, attackers can bypass pattern-based filters that rely on static signatures. So again, like I was telling you, so these firewalls will catch very basic payloads, whether they're XSS, an SQL payload, you know, what else? You know, a path traversal payload, an SSRF payload. So what you want to do is that you want to change up the characters and make it look different, but it's still part of the standard of the programming language. So those characters have to be valid. Again, I was just showing you earlier how, you know, /006 /007 are valid characters that just stand for something else. The difference is that they're encoded, right? So right here, let me give you an example down here. So Log4Shell obfuscation. Back in 2001, Log4Shell CV yada yada was discovered in the ubiquitous Java login package. The vulnerability spread rapidly and caused alarm due to the vast number of affected systems. Although firewall vendors quickly configured rules that blocked Log4Shell, new obfuscated payloads for Log4Shell quickly emerged, illustrating how attackers continually innovate to stay one step ahead of security defense. Here's the original Log4Pay payload. So Log4Shell payload. So as you can see here, right? If I'm not mistaken, this shell gave you system access of the server that ran it, and I believe you can put in like system commands and it would run it. So this is how the original command looks like, right? As you can see here, LDAP. So when people lower substitution string fragmentation, it's resolution. So ND, lower L, lower D, lower P. Oh, that's interesting. You see how, so here, this would be the normal payload, right? As you can see, LDAP, but this syntax down here is allowed. So now, this is still a valid command. The difference is that it's giving it lower L. So this is being used, lower D, as you can see here, and then the A here, and then lower P. So LDAP, as you can see that. So this is another way of bypassing a firewall. Maybe the firewall doesn't have this payload blacklisted. So this will run the server will run this as this. So now let's see a bottom one. So colon trick, car by car assembly deep nesting. So as you can see here, look at this. So this is still a valid version of this. Oh, what the heck? What did I do? Of this right here, of the original payload. So this will still can be used by the as a payload to have shell access to the server. So that's pretty interesting. And here's another one down here: environment variable substitution, default fallback, dynamic protocol construction. So now it's even getting fancier. So n bar foo, ndi, n bar foo, and etc. etc. I don't know what the heck that means, but it's just another way to attack a computer. So let's go down here. Payload obfuscation via encoding. Payload obfuscation via encoding conceals the functions of malicious payloads by transforming them into encoded formats such as base64, hex, or Unicode, right? So if you don't know, everything that you're reading right now is just regular characters, right? So yes, we hack products, researchers, resources, blog, login, context. So everything that you see here, right? It's regular English, but these characters can actually be interpreted as well as you can see here, right? In base 64 and hex or Unicode, right? So let's do this. Base 64 characters. Now let's go. Oh, we have a version here. So let's see. The base 64 encoding table. So as you can see here, right? So the value is down here, character. So I'm assuming the value here and then is interpreting the character over here. So 16 equals Q, 17 equals R, and etc. etc. Right? So pretty much base 64 encoding is responsible for the characters and then the symbols that we normally use. So let's see, let's go down here. Maybe this will make a lot more sense. Oh yeah, same here, you see? So these are the binary representations. So you could actually use binary code to represent every character if you wanted to, like in a programming language. So instead of putting like hello world, you could put, let me see, where's H at? So you can put this, right? This will represent H in binary. 3 zeros and 3 ones. And then E, so it will be represented here, 3 zeros and then 1 0 0, right? So in computing, you could interpret characters with a base 64 encoding, binary, and then you know, other means. You know what I mean? So payload obfuscation via encoding. So this can be represented like this as well. Right, so we already went through that a million times. Example of double URL encoded payload. So looks like it's doing it twice. Let me see. 2D, and then it's repeating it again. So when the URL decoded twice, the payload resolves to this. Alright, Unicode, hex, and octal encoding. Unicode, hex, and encoding can be used in various scenarios, the most common being when a payload is injected directly into a pre-rendered string. A typical scenario involves mixing the server-side code with the client-side. Just give me a second, guys. Hold on. So let me see. For instance, a code snippet might use server-side PHP combination with client-side JavaScript to assign a value to JavaScript variable, such as results. So script, var result, use search for HTML special characters, get query, document enter the results. Since you control the pre-rendered string value, you can inject Unicode, hex, or encodings. For example, if you get the HTTP get parameter query as a hex encoded value like that, it will decode to character that. If you subsequently insert the contents of HTML DOM, an attacker can exploit a DOM-based cross-site scripting vulnerability using payloads that encode special characters such as the one on the bottom, Unicode payload 1. So this would be an XSS payload. Unicode payload number 2. This is another XSS payload. And then hex payload, as you can see up here. And then octal payload down there. When any of these payloads are inserted into the JavaScript variable and then added to the HTML DOM, they will be rendered as SVG on alert 1. Alright guys, hold on. Let's pump some lo-fi music. Lo-fi.
Tell you how I avoid mistakes thanks to Grammarly, an AI writing partner that works seamlessly with your
You know, I've probably been a little too loud. Alright guys, let's get back to what we were doing. So I was talking about payload obfuscation. So mix encoding, the most effective way to craft a robust, sophisticated payloads to mix multiple encoding methods. Multi-layered encoding forces protect mechanisms to provide multiple decoding methods and simultaneously making it significantly harder to detect payloads. As an example, the sophisticated payload below combines the encoded techniques to discuss above. Alright. Put a little louder. Alright guys, continue. Payload obfuscation via variable expression assignment. Alright guys, you know what? I would recommend you guys do this on your own time, because I came here to try to teach you guys about hacking breaches, not about, payload obfuscation, if that makes sense. So let's look for the hacking breaches. If we find some cool, interesting, articles. Maybe there's something on Medium that'll kind of break it down for us. Data breaches, cybersecurity. Let's check this one out. exclusive entire Conti ransomware gang, including key leaders, with photo and infrastructure is exposed. Let's see. Hopefully this doesn't require us to register to read it. This is interesting. Let me see. In a landmark investigation with anonymous cybercrime investigator, gang exposed has struck a devastating blow against the notorious Conti ransom group, exposing the real identities, operational strategies, and global movements of its key figures. Through meticulous analysis of leaked communication, travels records, financial data, and public records, gang has exposed core leaders including Vladimir Viktorovich, so I'm assuming these guys are from Russia, the elusive mastermind, target, negotiator Arkady Valentinovich Bondarenko, and system administrator Andrei Yurovich Zhukov, defender. These exclusive reports delves into the syndicate Dubai-based operations and its attack on hospitals during COVID-19 pandemic, and the critical infrastructure sustaining its global cybercrime empire, offering law enforcement a rare opportunity to dismantle one of the world's most dangerous ransomware groups. So we see here on X, they're exposing who the guys are. Looks like there's a female. I find that interesting. And I noticed that it said Dubai base, so I'm assuming, I don't know the cyber laws in Dubai, but a lot of these places, in a lot of countries, a lot of people like hacking from there because of their lax laws, and they won't get as in trouble. But the America has a very good system of extradition, so if they offer the said country, you know, I'll give you $5 million in rewards if you turn in this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. Go get them. 10 out of 10 times, the country's going to 100% turn those people in. $5 million is probably more than they'll ever see in their life. So, especially if a law enforcement agency is the one being offered that, because not a lot of police officers make a lot of money worldwide. So, usually the FBI will offer a high reward, as you can see here, right? The U.S. Department of Rewards for Justice Program has announced a reward of $10 million for information leading to the identification or location of individuals and malicious cybercrime activities against U.S. critical infrastructure and in violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. So if you guys don't know what ransomware is, it's a specialized software that will encrypt your whole hard drive. And for you to decrypt the hard drive, you will need a special password. And this special password is usually tied to this program, the ransomware will communicate with the server. And the server will be responsible of decrypting the said infected computer once a bounty is paid. So let's just say if the whole network in a hospital, right? Let's just say maybe 10 of their computers go down, right? And these computers have patient information, and then the patient information is very useful because it actually tells you what a patient has or what they're visiting the doctor for, and the doctor, you know what I mean, will help the person, you know, who's ill. So if the computer gets encrypted, the person doesn't have access to the file anymore. And this is extremely bad because obviously this affects human life. And these guys, seems like their main target was hospitals, as we read earlier, right? So let's see down here what this says. Conti leak video they tried to bury. 6+ Conti members on a private jet. Target's birthday, 10 million bounty on his head. Filmed by Target himself. Originally raced, we kept a copy. So as you can see, these people made a lot of money. If I had to guess, easily over like 20 million. So let's watch the video. Let's see what we get. It's only 11 seconds long. That's not good. Oh wow, look at this jet. This is the fine life right here. So as you can see, Target, who was Target again? Somebody had that name. Let's see. Oh, it's this guy right here. Vladimir Viktorovich Kvitko, Professor. Oh, no, the elusive mastermind Tarek. We should get Arcade. Oh, this guy, Arkady Valentinovich Bondarenko. That's Target. I'm gonna read that. So let's keep going down here. Let's see what else we find. How do the new generation of ransomware kingpins celebrate? In this expose, meet the so-called golden boys of cybercrime. Key figures from royal black suit content trick brought. Think luxury parties, private jets, and blatant impunity, all funded by global extortion. Remember I was telling you that some countries don't even bother prosecuting anybody? So a lot of these people could just sit back, relax, and I'm assuming the majority of the payments were via crypto based. So a lot of these, that's what I remember crypto being used originally for. Honestly, like it was a currency, but it was a currency used by shady people. And obviously people want to get into tech. And they want to invest in tech, and whatever, and you could almost sell anybody anything in today's world. That's why crypto, in my opinion, cryptocurrency, has blown up so much that a lot of the investors are people who really don't understand computers, and because they want to invest in the next big thing, tech being the next oil. The next like oil hit. Obviously a lot of these people are gonna try to want to make it big, right? And but cryptocurrency, when I remember in its early days, it was always used as an anonymous currency for people doing shady stuff, whether they paid for stolen credit cards or drugs or hacking services, etc., etc. It was always all through crypto, and I'm assuming it's the same thing with these guys. These guys definitely these guys definitely got paid in crypto, and or like some sort of I don't know, some Western Union into some country that doesn't care as long as it gets its cut. They're like, okay, we'll take 100,000, we'll take a 100,000 wire transfer, but we're gonna keep 30,000 of that, and then you can keep the 70,000. There's a lot of shady places that function like this. So, it's an interesting world nowadays, honestly, especially in tech. So let's keep going down. Unmasking Professor Vladimir Viktorovich Kvitko. Gang expose has exclusively identified Professor A. Conti as leader. Vladimir, we already read his name, born October 23, 1984, a Russian national who relocated from Moscow to Dubai in autumn 2020. So this is the guy, right? So this guy has a $10 million bounty. So if you turn this guy in and he gets prosecuted, that's $10 million. So what I'm learning is this guy must have made, for them to go that deep, $10 million, this guy must have made at least over $30 million in crypto. So, and he must be messing with systems all across America. Maybe this ransomware also is shutting down police stations. I don't know. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of companies that need computers to run, and maybe this ransomware affected them in some way, and these guys are a pest, and they're the most known distributor of the ransomware. I can see where the FBI could say, you know what, we're doing $10 million bounty on this fucking guy. So as you can see there, Kvitko's role in Conti involves orchestrating real-world carding schemes, leveraging weak banking systems in countries like India, Cuba, and Iran. Carding schemes, huh? real-world carding schemes, leveraging weak banking systems in countries like India, Cuba, and Iran. Carding, if I'm not mistaken, is where you take people's credit card information, like skimming them, and then selling the information. And I'm assuming India, Cuba, and Iran don't have like very good security measures preventing stuff like this. And in today's world, honestly, it's done through the encrypted chip on a card. I don't know if you ever put an encrypted chip on a card thingy. So that's much harder to decrypt because the information is, again, encrypted. So it's a lot harder to scan it and get a plain text view of the information. So you gotta be careful when you slide a credit card, you know what I mean, or the magnetic strip. That's where all the information is in plain text. So I would always recommend you use the encrypted chip side. So that's always good. Hold on, guys. Let me see. So, alright, so his identity was confirmed through synchronized travel platforms and chat inactivity. Russian records show Kvitko in the Altai Republic from June 15, 17, 2021, in the period from when Professor was silent in Conti's Jabber chats, resuming communication upon his return to Moscow on June 18th. SFB border data further documents his frequent trips to the UAE, Cuba, Iran, Austria, and Turkey, aligning with Conti's operations. Since August 2020, Kvitko has remained in Dubai, managing visa extensions via trips to the Netherlands and Austria. His dossier, including passports, phone numbers, emails, social media profiles, and property records tied to the Income RM Rail Management Company and the Roskilde-Bank, is part of Gang's Exposed Digital Archive Megalink. The Dubai Hub Conti's Autumn 2021 offensive. In autumn 2021, Conti transformed Dubai into a strategic hub for a massive wave of ransomware attacks targeting Western, Middle Eastern, and Chinese companies. Led by Target, a figure with a 10 million FBI bounty, the group operated from physical office equipped with dedicated attack infrastructure, coordinated by a system administrator, Andrei Kukiv, and involving negotiator Arkady Bondarenko, that's the dude, right? Target, that's his name. So you can see both these dudes here. System administrator of the Conti. Defender is a key technical specialist responsible for viability of the group's entire infrastructure. So this guy right here. So it sounds like these guys had a dedicated office building or an office spot where they did all their hacking from, and this guy right here was the system administrator of the computers that were used for that. So I'm assuming this guy must have programmed the command and control server responsible for handing out the password back to the encrypted computers. So that's interesting. So the operations timeline reveals the meticulous planning. On October 1, 2021, leaked chats reference a negotiator described as Canadian from a recovery company, identified as Bondarenko, who flew from Dubai to Moscow that day, flight EK-133, discussing payments issues via the Suez exchange. This coincided with Conti's attack preparations. By October 2, the next day, Target coordinated the setup of Dubai's office, ordering equipment and collaborating with Deputy Sergei Kitrov. Between October 10 to 14, key members including Marat Nordinov, Oleg Fakiv, Kvitko, and Elizaveta Sushkova arrived in Dubai via flights SU-520 and G9-956. From October 17 to all the way to November 16, Conti executed peep attacks. 7 on October 17th, Graf Diamonds, JVC Kenwood. 11 on October 23, of Bitcoin Investment Group in the AE, and 13 November 6, including Arm China and Trina Solar AU. These attacks exploited the UAE's lack of extradition agreements and lax cyber oversight, targeting not only Western firms but also local Asian companies, with Badrenko managing victim negotiations and Sukov ensuring the technical infrastructure's stability. Again, this is the big key here. So remember I was telling you that a lot of these people like exploiting countries that don't understand or have a technical background on computing. So the attack exploded by the AEU's lack of extradition agreement. So again, if America said, hey, you have this criminal who's doing all kinds of crazy damage to our computers infrastructures here in the US, I'm gonna need that mother effer. He's in this location, he's known to have this address. The FBI is gonna get all this information on you, you know what I mean? So these guys here, I'm pretty sure they already knew their addresses, they already knew where this office building was, etc., etc. Just by reading this article, I could already tell that they had all this information, you know what I mean? And most likely, when they got convicted, because it sounds like they got caught, I haven't finished the end. They always every law enforcement agency or judge will always give these guys a lighter sentence if they just spill the beans. If they're like, hey, so this is what I did. These are the computer systems I had. This is when I attacked this company on this day. I used these exploits, I used these methods, I used phishing attack, etc., etc. So once they spill the beans, they get a lighter sentence, and they'll get an overall picture of like how these illegal operations happen. And just by reading this stuff, it sounds like that happened just by this article, because this article is too detailed. So let's go down. Target the 10 million predator, right? Operating under the license, the Blood Rush, the Red is Conti's disciplined and ruthless leader, commanded a near corporate criminal enterprise with nearly 100 operatives. So that's how profitable these guys were. The fact that you got 100 people working for you in this shady fucking literally a company designed to just wreak havoc on computer systems. Ransomware, again, is probably one of the most devastating ones, just because it'll lock out your computer. It'll encrypt everything on your hard drive, and it'll make it useless. You're not going to be able to do anything with it. You're not, and the fact that these guys are profiting that much, where they needed 100 people to work for them, just tells you that, they were doing very well. Sorry about that. I get it, guys. I'm not the most professional, but hey, man, I think we're learning something here, Well, until then we're not. I feel like we're doing some good stuff here. So, let me see. Had to open up a refresh. Alright, guys, so his chilling disregard for human suffering was evident during COVID-19 epidemic. or pandemic when he targeted 428 U.S. hospitals in October 2020. Loading in chats, 428 hospitals. I'm satisfied, and make them die or pay up. Targets offline offices, strict employee oversight, and erasure of digital traces via platforms like Jabber and Rocket Chat highlights his operational sophistication. Let's Google. I want to know what Jabber and Rocket Chat is. Targets offline offices, strict employee oversight, and erasure of digital traces via platforms like Jabber and Rocket Chat. Oh, I'm pretty sure he was sophisticated. So let's see what Jabber is. Platform. Alright, let's see. Doesn't sound too sophisticated. Cisco Jabber is a unified communication platform that provides instant messaging, voice and video calls, voice messaging, desktop sharing, conference, and presence. It allows users to connect with colleagues, collaborate from anywhere on any device. Cisco Jabber is designed to improve communication within organizations, making it easier to connect with the right people at the right time. Key features and capabilities. Instant messaging enables real-time text message between users, voice and video calls, voice messaging, presence, conferencing, desktop sharing. It sounds like a Zoom. I don't know if what maybe separates this program is that only certain people are allowed to use it. I don't know, maybe people in a network, maybe people in a company. Let me see. Rocket Chat was another one. Rocket Chat. Rocket.chat. SecureComm OS. SecureComm OS for mission critical operations. Bring together messaging, voice critical apps, and AI to keep teams connected and missions protected. Deployed by secure organizations globally. City of Cologne. I mean, there's a lot of secure encrypted messaging apps. I'm pretty sure Rocket Chat is just another version of that. So, okay. So, let's go back where we were at. Where's Rocket Chat? I know. Oh, up here. So, gang exposed, recovered deleted messages through metadata and quotes, exposing the schemes, including the Dubai's hubs establishment. So here's another member, Arkady Bondarenko, the Conti negotiator. Arkady Valentinovich Bondarenko, born August 2nd, 1970, is an older guy. A dual Russian-Canadian citizen, is identified as Conti's key negotiator, managing victim communication and ransomware payment. So this was definitely 100% ran like a company. So they had it a system administrator, what I've seen. They've had the brains, the guy who set up the office buildings, the guy who understands the laws within the country he's in. So Dubai has strict extradition laws, and they don't have cybercrime laws. So, and then this guy here is the communication side. So he's the one setting up ransomware payments of victims. So this was definitely ran like a small company. On October 1, 2020, Conti member Mango described him as a Canadian from a recovery company in chats, aligning with his departure from Dubai to Moscow, flight EK133. His travel frequently overlapped with Kvitko's, notably on January 17, 2020. It even has a flight number. May 22 and February 2019 suggested in-person coordination while avoiding shared flights. Madorenko's financial profile with over 107 million rub from VTK Bank and ownership of luxury Moscow properties, premium vehicles, and shell companies like LLC, Jewelry House Millennium indicates money laundering activities. That's interesting. His dossier details multiple phones, as you can see numbers here, and then emails, and you can see some there, and bank accounts confirming his roles as a financial intermediary. So this guy did more than just set up payments. He's like, he knew how to launder money, how to set up services that would make it seem like the company that he worked for, with quotes, was more legit. It wasn't shady in any way. So here's the other guy, right? So I'm assuming this is another system administrator. Oh no, actually this is the main one. Andrew Zhekov, the technical backbone. Andrew Yurievich Zhekov, born February 18, 1982, known as Defender or Def, is Conti's principal system administrator and DevOps specialist, responsible for the group's technical infrastructure. Operating from Russia's Zvezdovinsk region in Sochi, Zhukov manages servers, domains, proxies, VPNs, and control panels and backup channels, assuring the stability and autonomy of Conti's operations. His high technical competence and strict management style make him a critical single point of failure for the group. Leak chats show him coordinated with leadership, Stern and Boza suppliers, coders, handling payments for servers and licenses, and conducting security audits to prevent vulnerabilities. His dossier includes passports with a number on it, and his email on there, and he has a Gmail and social profiles, Telegram at Nahu, right? So he's using Telegram to communicate. So Zokud's financial struggles, debts exceeding 2 million rub, and enforcement cases for child support contrast with his critical role in Conti's multi-million-dollar operations. Other key figures, additional Conti leaders exposed, include Vitaly Kovalev, Stern, whose leaked Telegram message at TG user revealed network connections despite plastic surgery to alter his appearance. Gates exposed his new face and passports. So that's the guy there. So Mikhailovich Stasorov, known as Mango, born April 20, 1999, a coordinator in the Conti TrickBot ecosystem who referenced Bandoroko's negotiator role link. So Sire Yov Michael Lovich, and then of course I'm reading all this stuff again. These data sets detail internal communications, include Bandoroko's negotiations, Zakov's infrastructure, management, and labeling data. Investigators to map out Conti's structure, track financial flows, and identify remaining figures. Recover deleted chats, reveal attempt to erase evidence of Dubai's hub, hospital attacks, and financial operations. When gang exposed leaked Conti's secrets, the group offered $4 million for a Telegram exploit to retaliate, as reported by Haber. What, really? When gang exposed leaked Conti's secrets, the group offered $4 million for a Telegram exploit to retaliate, as reported by Haber. This failed attempt underscores the expression to silence the investigator, who noted, "I poked the hornet's nest," promising further revelations about the target's identity. The exposure of Conti's Dubai hub, coupled with dossier and this guy, that guy, provides actionable intelligence for the U.S. authority to investigate local victims like Obitcan Investment Group and Trina Solar, and the Chinese authorities to probe arms China breach. Western agencies can leverage $10 million bounty on targets, while Barenco's dual citizenship as financial trails offer avenue for international cooperation to seize illicit funds. Gang exposed relentless investigation has shattered Conte's anonymity of masking this guy, and this guy. That is such an interesting article. Beautiful, my friend. I gotta give, what's this guy's name? Balaji N. his props. Balaji is an ex-security researcher, threat research lab at Commando Cybersecurity, editor-in-chief, and co-founder of Cybersecurity News and GB Hackers on Security. So it sounds like this is his website here. So let's go back over here. So this is a good article. The Deloitte data breach, alleged leak of source code and GitHub credentials. So the Adidas data breach, customers' personal information exposed. I'd rather read this one. Let's do the Adidas, see what we find. Adidas Korea has announced a security breach affecting customer data. Oh, so this happened in South Korea. Marking the second major incident in the fashion industry targeting Korean consumers this month. The sports gear giant revealed that the unauthorized access was gained through a third-party customer service provider, compromising customers' personal information who had contacted their server centers. So I don't know if you guys know, there's a lot of third-party providers that can either offer software services and or maybe it's what would be another one? Maybe it's like an IT firm where they're responsible of managing their servers and make sure that they're upright. You know, it could be, you know, making sure that maybe they're responsible for the web development side and, you know, payment system, etc. So these third-party services, you know, they can be breached, and then from there they'll pivot onto the servers of the of Adidas, you know, because the third party will have some sort of credentials and or software tied to the servers that are tied to Adidas. So anyway, let's keep going. So on May 16, Adidas disclosed its website that the breach affected customers who had made inquiries to their customer service center in 2024 or earlier. According to the company, compromised data includes customer names, email addresses, phone numbers, and in some cases, birthdays and physical addresses. This is not good. I mean, the only person, I'm not gonna lie. The only person Korean, I guess the names, the phone numbers of Korean people, it can only matter to somebody who is an enemy of Korea, because nobody, I don't think any English speaking person cares about, you know, like you can't really use Korean because one, you have to understand the language. Two, it just doesn't make any sense in my opinion. Like this, to me, this sounds like somebody must have done it to test their skill more than anything, because you can't really do nothing useful taking information of certain people in certain countries, you know, if that makes sense. And I don't mean to sound like an a-hole or a jerk, but it's just the truth. It's just like, you know, it's like if somebody hacks into a computer system in Africa, right? And Africa, you know, they also have, you know, personal information stored in computers. You know, whether that's hospitals, you know, banks, you know, stealing just their names, their addresses, and their phone numbers. It just doesn't make any sense unless somebody within the country wants to make a fake identity of the person. So it's only technically useful for like a specific type of person. Other than that, it's not. Hacks like these, in my opinion, I think they're just pointless. Not only that, it doesn't sound like they got anything financial. I didn't see anything about no credit card being stolen. Social securities are a big thing. I mean, there's certain types of information where you're like, okay, I see what they were trying to do right here. To me, this breach just seems like it was somebody maybe trying to test their skill and see as how far as they can go. And maybe their intention was, financial, but all they could get was just names, and especially of like people from Korea. Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like okay, you get what I'm saying, right, guys? So. Let's see going. We have confirmed that unauthorized access to some consumer data through a third party, or actually, you know what? I'm gonna pause. How this hack could affect, the only person I think it could affect, or the only people, would be the company Adidas, because it does look bad. Like if it comes out in the news, like it could make the company look very bad, and especially customers. Like now they're gonna have to worry. Oh, really? My address and my name are out there now, et cetera, et cetera. So what a lot of these companies will do is they'll offer customers a free credit card report, a free credit report to make sure that your name isn't being used to open up, accounts somewhere else. Like make sure that you're not opening up somebody is not using the name, to buy a car, finance a car, or, et cetera, right? So that's where I could see this being like the worst thing that could come out of this, I guess. And by worst, I'm talking about specifically for Adidas Korea. So they're gonna lose customers. They're gonna lose like faith in like shopping with them. So I guess that would be it, Korean customer data exposed. Adidas has already completed notifications to all the affected Korean customers and is working with information security specialists to investigate the incident thoroughly. We are taking this matter very seriously and are immediately conducting a comprehensive investigation in cooperation with information security specialists. And Adidas representative stated, this company has also reported the incident to relevant Korean authorities, implement additional security measures to prevent similar breaches in the future. This breach comes just days after luxury brand Dior faced similar issues with customer data security in Korea. On May 13th, Dior announced that unauthorized access to customer information had occurred. January 26th, through the companies only discovered the breach on May 7th. Wow. The Dior incident has drawn particular criticism as the compromised data includes sensitive purchase history information along with customer names, mobile phone numbers, and email addresses. Adding to the controversy, Dior reportedly failed to notify the Korean Internet and Security Agency about the breach when it was discovered. These consecutive data breaches affecting international fashion brands' Korean customer databases indicate a concerning pattern in the industry. Cybersecurity experts suggest retail customers' databases are becoming targets due to the valuable consumer behavior data they contain. For affected customers of both companies, security specialists recommend monitoring accounts for usual activity, being cautious of potential phishing attempts that might leverage stolen information, and considering changing passwords for other services with similar credentials that might have been used. I mean, sounds pretty logical. Alright guys, so this will do it for today's video, and I'm definitely probably gonna do one tomorrow, and I'm gonna go deep into some of these. I actually wanted to know more, I wanted to know more about the the technical side of stuff, like how they broke into like how the breaches happened, pretty much, right? Like, and I explained earlier that phishing is usually the biggest way into a company. So a hacker will pretend to be a CEO, and then they'll email an employee lower than him. Hey, excuse me, employee lower than me, I need you to click on this link. We need to do a review on your employment, right? Again, it's a phishing campaign, so I'm lying to them. I'm pretending to be the CEO. The person who responded to the message is like, oh my god, my boss, he wants me to update my employment history or whatever, right? So they'll click on a link, and that link will have a fake login page, and then the person will put in their password, and then they'll put in the username, and bang, the hacker has that, right? So now they can log in pretending to be the the employee, and usually employees have data access to the company, so then from there you can just start infiltrating, taking stuff out, etc., etc. So that's one way into a company. And maybe that employee has access to, I don't know, usernames. Maybe that employee has system access. Maybe that account has 100 computers running that he might be able to control, etc., etc. So I want to actually go deeper and see the technical side of stuff. I believe the Sony hack, there's a very good article out there, and it actually explains what they did and how they did it, and it's pretty good, So I'm definitely going to do more of that sort of stuff, and if not, we'll definitely go through OSINT stuff, open source intelligence. I feel like that's an important side of cybersecurity, so definitely going to do videos on that as well. So alright guys, well, thank you for watching my video.